So you're interested in getting out there on the trails, or perhaps you're thinking about heading to your local motocross track. Well, you've come to the right place, because in this video, we're going to cover the basics of off-road riding gear. As we go through every piece of gear today, we'll give you additional insight for each item so you can feel more confident and prepared when choosing a collection of gear for your riding needs. While there are some specialty designed items for women and youth riders, a lot of items like knee braces and neck braces are universal between men and women. In addition to that, when it comes to jackets, jerseys, and pants, a lot of women I ride with will often go for the men's gear and size down accordingly. Just something to consider as we go through this video. Regardless of whether you're riding on the street or out there on the trails, as a motorcyclist, protecting your noggin should be the top priority. So let's start there with head protection. A dirt helmet is a bit different than your everyday street helmet. For one thing, you'll find a peak visor on top for blocking roosts, ducking under branches on the trail, and it occasionally comes in handy for blocking the sun. You'll also find that dirt lids provide an excellent level of ventilation. In the dirt world, you're moving your body on the bike a lot. Standing up on the pegs, sitting down for the corners, throwing the leg out for counterbalance. The thing I'm getting at here is because you're moving so much, you're going to be generating a lot of heat, so airflow is very, very important. Dirt helmets feature specific protection for off-road situations where things like loose sand, branches, and rocks grabbing and twisting your gear can cause low-speed rotational injuries. This is different than crashing on the street, where you're more likely to be sliding across the asphalt at those higher rates of speed. When it comes to sizing your off-road lid, it's really no different than how you would size for a street helmet. If you don't ride on the street and you're not too familiar with sizing your helmet, check out our How to Size and Buy Helmets guide, which will walk you through the steps of sizing your lid and break down everything you need to know. Unlike your typical street helmet, dirt helmets don't feature built-in eye protection, and therefore they require the use of standalone goggles, and that's what we're going to talk about next. Your eyes are incredibly vulnerable, which makes your goggles another very important piece of gear as they protect your eyes from roost, tree branches, rain, bugs, and really anything else living out there on the trails or the track. They're also much more effective at filtering dust from the air than a face shield on a traditional street helmet. Now, there's a few things I typically look for with my goggles. Now, first off, outriggers. Those are these plastic pieces on the side of the frame which position the goggles further in the helmet and help them fit more comfortably. Secondly, I recommend having a wide goggle strap with a bead of silicone on the inside, as this will help the goggles stay more secure. And lastly, a wide field of vision is always a plus. On the trail or the track, your peripheral vision is just as important as seeing what's directly in front of you. Now, one important note before we move on, I'd recommend selecting your helmet and then selecting your goggles. This will allow you to throw on your helmet and then throw on your goggles to make sure they fit in the eye port and that your helmet and goggles are comfortable to wear together. Gear that is uncomfortable or doesn't fit well together is ultimately going to be a distraction, which nobody needs when you're out there on two wheels, dirt or not. Now, as we continue building our dirt kit from head to toe, next in line we've got neck braces, the first piece in upper body protection. Neck braces are an additional level of protection that's beneficial for dirt riders of all disciplines. They're designed to prevent injury to the neck and spine by reducing the compression the rider experiences in the event of a crash. Now, it does help with hyperextension, forward and backward and those side-to-side movements, but again, the main protection you're getting from a neck brace is prevention of spinal compression. When it comes to sizing, every manufacturer out there is going to do things a bit differently. And because of that, make sure you check the product details and the manufacturer's specifications for fitting your neck brace appropriately. A neck brace should rest comfortably on your shoulders and should not hinder your movement. Riders that generally choose not to use a neck brace are often a result of poor fitment or not pairing well with their existing gear. And on that note of pairing with your existing gear, that's going to lead me into the next piece of protection I wanted to talk about. We've got roost guards and body armor. Now, roost guards, also known as chest protectors, are most commonly used by motocross riders. This type of protection mainly covers the chest and back. As the name implies, their main objective is to protect you from roosts getting kicked up at you from the rider ahead and to protect your back if you're coming off of the bike. And generally speaking, roost guards are a bit more low profile when compared to a full body armor kit. Now, body armor, often referred to as armored rigs, they go by many names, are generally used by trail riders because they encounter more obstacles obstacles such as trees, rocks, roots, logs. Put simply, the terrain isn't as clear and as smooth as what you're typically going to find at your local motocross track. These body protectors offer more coverage than roost guards, as you'll generally find protection at the elbows and the shoulders, in addition to that chest and back protection. Certain brands also provide coverage around the ribs, which personally I find really important. I can't tell you how many times I've taken a handlebar to the ribs out there on the trail. So if you're crash prone like myself, that additional coverage will certainly come in handy. Now, when it comes to sizing both roost guards and armored rigs, I found that simply going with your typical t-shirt size should do the trick. While pairing a neck brace, with armored rigs or a chest protector is relatively universal, there are some brands that design these pieces specifically to work together. Just something to be aware of if you plan to use a neck brace. Now, moving on to the lower body, let's take a look at knee guards and knee braces. I've talked to a lot of new riders who ask me if they should get knee braces or knee guards. Now, while they do share some similarities, they offer very different levels of protection at different price points. A knee guard is a standalone option that straps directly to your knee and is designed to stay in place in the event of a crash and provide impact protection, but they won't prevent rotational injuries. That's where knee braces come into play. Knee braces also provide that additional impact protection to the knee and the shin, but they take it a few steps further. A pivoting point accompanied by a strong backbone running along either side of the knee will help prevent those torsional and lateral injuries, in addition to helping prevent hyperextension during a crash. Now, for sizing, much like what we discussed before, every manufacturer is going to do things a bit different. For that reason, make sure you're checking the sizing chart for the particular knee guard or knee brace to ensure you're getting the right measurement and proper fit. If you don't see a size option detailed, it's safe to assume the knee guard is universal with a fair amount of adjustability to accommodate a wide range of builds out there. Regardless of the manufacturer, you'll often find numbers on the straps utilized to secure the knee braces and knee guards to your leg. It's important to always strap on these pieces in the correct order, as it will ultimately lead to a more comfortable and secure fit while maximizing protection. Alrighty, let's move on to the next piece of protection, which are dirt boots. Now, as you can see, MX boots are pretty beefy, and that's because they are some of the most protective footwear utilized by motorcyclists, and that's for good reason. As a dirt rider, you're constantly using your legs and your feet, standing up, speeding by rocks and branches, throwing legs out through the corners, or slowly paddling your feet through more technical terrain. The fact is, you're going to be using your legs and feet a lot. So the importance of a proper pair of dirt boots is almost on par with the value of a motorcyclist's helmet. This level of protection makes a dirt boot very stiff and a little tough to get used to wearing. That being said, they're the only boots up to the challenge of preventing torsional and lateral injuries in the off-road application. And the hard TPU protection around the shin, as well as the rest of the boot, provides extra levels of abrasion resistance and impact protection. They are often designed to accommodate knee guards and knee braces, so you shouldn't have any concerns pairing these items together. The mix of protection and comfort dirt boots provide can vary. So let's use Alpinestars as an example. Now, next to me, I've got the Tech 3 boots, which are their entry-level boot. You've got 3 straps for securing the boot, great coverage around the shin, but you don't have that same level of flexibility or tactile feel as you would with other boots higher up in their line. Now, for example, further down the line here, we've got the Tech 7s. You'll see these boots have an additional strap for improved security and a dual hinge system on either side of the ankle. This hinge system provides an extra level of torsional protection and allows it to be a bit more flexible, and it gives you better ease of movement both forward and backward. Now, there's a lot more we could discuss about MX boots, as we're barely scratching the surface, but they're incredibly beneficial for any dirt riders out there. Now, quick note on sizing: while there can always be discrepancies and it's always important to check the specific product page for the boots you're interested in picking up, we find that dirt boots fit true to your normal shoe size. Now, let's keep it moving and talk about the stuff you wear on the outside of your gear, and that is your jersey, your pants, and your gloves. There's a lot to choose from in this category, and while most of it simply comes down to personal preference and what style you're actually looking for, there are a few things to discuss. Now, if you've looked at dirt gear before, you'll often find substantial price differences between jerseys and pants within a given brand, so let's talk about why. So most manufacturers nowadays are creating multiple lines of gear that are focused for a specific type of rider or a specific discipline of riding. More affordable options such as Fly's F16, we got the O'Neill Elements or Fox 180, 180 line as an example, are designed for entry-level riders or for folks who just abuse their gear. It's relatively comfortable given the price, but typically lacks some of those sophisticated stretch materials found in the higher priced items. While the lower cost options might not be as comfortable as some of those more expensive options, oftentimes it can actually be more durable. Now, mid-level gear such as the Built Luxe, Fly Racing's Evo line, or Fox's Legion gear aims to maintain durability, but with a bit more focus on flexibility, which ultimately leads to a greater level of comfort when you're on the bike. Now, typically, these mid-level options are more breathable, making it an ideal choice for trail riders that want something lightweight, but who also need something to withstand the abuse of the trails. When you're looking at the top of the line options, items like the Fly Light lineup, the O'Neill Prodigy gear, or the Fox Flex Air jersey and pants, that gear is going to prioritize performance over anything else. This gear is what pro-level motocross and supercross riders will utilize on race night. Think your Eli Tomac, your Ken Rocks, and Cooper Webbs. These offerings deliver the ultimate level of flexibility and breathability. However, all that flexibility comes at a cost of durability, making this more ideal for motocross rather than trail riding. Now, when it comes to sizing for your jersey and pants, it's pretty straightforward. Unless stated otherwise, stick with your typical t-shirt size for the jersey, and if you wear a size 32 jeans, stick with a 32 for your dirt pants. Now, keep in mind, the jersey and pants are already designed knowing you're going to be adding armor, so there's generally no need to size up to accommodate those additional pieces of protection. Gloves are another piece of gear with options specifically designed for off-road use with varying levels of protection depending on the type of riding that you're tackling. Now, for trails, I'd recommend something that has some good knuckle protection and some additional reinforcement at the palm if possible. The terrain is always changing and you might encounter some gravel roads or rock gardens, or you might be like me and pick some fights with trees. It's definitely a battle I am constantly losing. For motocross riders, they tend to use gloves that are lightweight and provide maximum tactile feel. So you don't generally find a lot of extra protection with these gloves. Most riders simply want something that will reduce blisters, provide extra level of grip without sacrificing the feedback. If you're not too familiar with sizing gloves, check out our How to Size and Buy Gloves guide, which will walk you through the steps needed and break down everything you need to know. If you're in between two sizes, 9 times out of 10 for dirt gloves, I'm going to recommend you go with the smaller option. Gloves always break in, and having a bunch of excess material will not provide the best level of comfort or tactile feel. Now, while I could spend a few more hours talking about dirt gear and everything that goes along with it, my team's telling me that we are running out of film. So if you still have questions for us, you can give one of our Gear Geeks a call at 877-792-9455 or simply shoot over an email cs@RevZilla.com. Our Gear Geeks are avid motorcyclists who can build a recommendation for you based off of your style, the size, all the while keeping your safety and price considerations in mind. Thanks for watching our dirt gear buying guide. I'm Brandon. Keep it pinned.